Sports Live, 3, 2, 1. We are ready to go. Like and subscribe to the channel. Smash the damn like button, or I'm going to give you a smash. I'm going to knock your ass out like Mike Tyson. I shouldn't be cursing 5 seconds into the video, but you know what? I'm fired up. I'm fired up because my Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I got to be honest, I don't know what to make of this team. I'd love to be as optimistic as all of New England is early in the season when they were saying, oh, they're going to come back. I know they're 2-5, but they're going to win every game down the stretch. My team is 7-5. My Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home against the Minnesota Vikings. And I have to say, the Bucs are 7-point favorites. I hope we win by 7 points. I hope we win something along the lines of, 27-20, 28-20, something along those lines. And I feel confident about that. However, the bye week definitely will help the Bucs, not hurt. It'll help us because the Bucs needed that. But here are my suggestions, takes, whatever you want to call it. The Vikings are no slouch. Okay, they're 6-6. They've got Dalvin Cook, who's been phenomenal all season long. Now, the one thing that helps the Bucs out, the Bucs are number 1 in the league with run defense. They're number 1. And the Vikings are not that great of a passing team. They do throw for 256 yards a game versus 275 for the Bucs. But I'll tell you right now, and I'll get into a deeper dive in a minute, but I want to get Cam in here on this. And we will also get to fantasy playoffs because it is that time of year, whether you have Yahoo, ESPN, or NFL.com. So, Cam, what are your thoughts as an outsider in the cloven secrecy of New England, rooting for your former guy, Tom Brady, against Minnesota? What is your objective takeaways?
You guys should win this game. I mean, Minnesota is not a good team. I mean, they have talent, but they don't play together. You guys should win this game. You're at home. You're coming off the bye week. You got rested. You got healthy. Let's hope Brady and Arians have put their crap aside. And you play a Brady-style game. Dink and dunk. No risk it for the biscuit. Hand off, run the ball, dink and dunk. You should win this game easily. You're a better team on both sides of the ball.
I would agree. We are better on both sides of the ball. The one advantage, for lack of a better word, Dalvin Cook is phenomenal. He's a top 3 or 4 back. He's been great all season. He was great last season. He's a dynamic player. A guy of his skill level can take over a game. If we had a great coaching staff, I'd say we win this game, no problem. If we had Bill Belichick, I would say we win this game, no problem. I feel confident we're going to win. Because overall, I don't think Minnesota has a good defense, and here are the numbers. So Tampa Bay scores 28.5 points per game, which is phenomenal. We give up about 23.3. So we're +5 per game in points scored versus points given up. So it's very solid. The Vikings, however, are a little bit on the opposite. They scored 26.5, which is worse than the Bucs, and they give up 27.5, which is also worse than the Bucs. So they have a terrible balance in their formula, but they do run for a lot of yards, almost 150 yards per game. Overall, I like the Bucs. I feel confident in the Bucs. 7 points seems very good to me because I think Kirk Cousins with JPP and Shaq Barrett, I think he has a tendency to get rattled. I could see this being a game where he throws 2 or 3 picks, loses a fumble potentially, and the game could hopefully get out of hand for the Vikings. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree. I mean, Kirk Cousins does get rattled, absolutely. I mean, you got to bring some pressure. Make him get rid of the ball fast, and hope that he makes some mistakes. Now, is Adam Thielen off the COVID list? Is he playing in this game?
Yeah, he played last week. He played great last week. By the way, that brings me to fantasy football, which a lot of you I know a lot of you, I'd love for everyone to think, oh, I'm so excited about the Bucs-Vikings matchup. But most of you that tuned in want to know what's going on with fantasy football, and I'm glad you asked that question. Well, I got a couple leagues that I'm in. My main league, which is the Yahoo League. I happen to be the ultimate champs. I happen to be the number 1 seed in that league. Cam's giving me this stink face. So, yeah, Adam Thielen is playing this game. So, here is my roster. I'm going to go over my roster in Yahoo. At quarterback, Russell Wilson. Adam Thielen at receiver. Deebo Samuel as my other receiver. I had Julio Jones, but Julio Jones suffers from extreme lack of sacchinitis. That is a medical term. Google it. Lack of sacchinitis. Ironically, my running back is Dalvin Cook. I've got Dalvin Cook in all my leagues because I love Dalvin Cook. He's slated for 16.5 points in non-PPR. Aaron Jones, who's actually slated for 17 because he's going against a putrid Detroit team. Logan Thomas at tight end, he's been on wildfire these last 2 or 3 weeks. Now that Alex Smith is a check down machine, expect Logan Thomas to get 7 or 8 catches for potentially 70 or 80 yards and possibly a touchdown. My rover this week was James Conner. It should have been Cam Akers. If Cam Akers, the running back for the Rams, 29 totes for 173 yards, 200 total yards of offense. If he is available in your league, Yahoo, NFL.com, ESPN, pick him up right away. My kicker is the Miami Dolphins kicker, Sanders. And last but certainly not least, my Los Angeles Rams, 21 fantasy points. I couldn't be happier. So, Cam, what are your thoughts on that as far as my team in fantasy football as in general?
Bow down to the master. That's what I think.
Well, there we go. That's not necessary, but I appreciate the love. But yes, Yahoo. What's funny is, I'm not going to ask you what your record is, but just give me your overall take on strategies. And like I said, I've got a bye week in my main league, the bigger money league. I got a bye week in that. Some people missed the playoffs. Some people squeaked in. But here is the thing you got to remember. My advice, and you can tell me your thoughts, Cam, ride the guys that brought you there. Like the team that I got. Dalvin Cook, okay, Russell Wilson, Adam Thielen. These are guys I've had all year long, that I've rode with these guys all year long. And what's great about this is I'm 10-3, and regarding tight ends, in the last couple weeks, I've picked up Logan Thomas, who's a phenomenal top 5 tight end, as well as Robert Tonyan, as I like to call him. I picked him up as well. And if Logan Thomas or Robert Tonyan, who I like to call him, for Green Bay, those are 2 guys. Remember, Logan Thomas in my opinion, he's a top 3 tight end, especially in a PPR league. What are your thoughts, Cam?
No, I agree. Absolutely.
There it is. Would you like to elaborate more than that, or is that's all you got?
Yeah, absolutely. He catches a lot of passes. Absolutely. I mean, he's turned into a great target down there. Absolutely. I mean, he's absolutely a top 5 tight end.
And the thing with Green Bay is the reason why Robert Tonyan, Robert Tonyan, is not a great tight. He's not a great tight end. He's not a great tight end. He doesn't have the greatest hands. He doesn't have the greatest physique and athleticism. But here is the key. He's got one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league that finds him open. And correct. I believe, and you can check me on this, I believe he's in the top 2 as far as touchdown catches for tight ends. I don't want to say he's got like 8 tight. He's got a ridiculous amount of tight ends. Can we verify that?
We'll check it right now.
Let's check it right now for tight ends. But yeah, so he is, again, is he better than Kelsey and Logan Thomas and some of these other dynamic Waller? No. But the thing with him is if you don't have a top 3 or 4 tight end, he is a sneaky play because he's a guy that could get you, 40 or 50 yards. Not that that's great, but he could get you potentially a touchdown or 2. And if for those that remember early in the season, he had a 3-touchdown game. That was kind of his coming out party. So, but yeah, so those are some thoughts. So don't get too cute. Don't get too fancy. Go with the guys that are consistently. And for example, Julio Jones, he's out for this week. I already benched Julio Jones. Julio Jones is a guy that I've always liked because of his dynamic personality. He actually doesn't have a dynamic personality. He's got a dynamic athleticism. But the thing with Julio Jones is bench Julio's out. Check the guys that are out. And here's the thing. Like he mentioned about Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen's playing. Adam Thielen's a top 5 wide receiver. It would have been great to have Julio and Adam Thielen. But Julio just was not with the program. So I'm going with Deebo Samuel. Deebo has been banged up all year. But the key with Deebo is he also gets a lot of catches and he gets runs. He's on end rounds. So he does a lot of gadget plays that he can get you 10, 11, 12 points or more. Do you have those stats for us?
Robert Tonyan is tied with Travis Kelce for most touchdowns in the league for a tight end at 8.
Tied with 8. Do you have the whole list there? If you don't, that's fine. We don't have time for you to look it up if you don't have it.
Yeah, Darren Waller has 7. TJ Hawkinson has 5.
Right.
Janu Smith has 7. It's not exactly in order. I think it's just by fantasy points, but I can tell you that Tonyan and Kelce are tied with 8.
Yeah. So Tonyan and Kelce are tied with 8. Obviously, they're not the same. But here's the thing. The difference is Kelce can get you 100, 120 yards and 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 TDs. Robert Tonyan, As only, he can get you 40 yards, but he can get you a touchdown. So he can get you 10, 11, 12 points depending on your league. So those are some of the things to keep in mind for fantasy football. Now, Cam, your league is insane with the settings. Do you feel confident that having two quarterbacks, a rover, the waiver wire, and all the insanity is the ideal league?
No, I just did that for the COVID year. Next year, it'll be a normal. It'll be two quarterbacks, yes. There won't be another rover, and there won't be four II spots.
Oh, so, I didn't even get into the IR spots. Yeah. For those, the COVID IR is a debacle. Now, the 4 IR spots, it's not a horrible idea on the surface. The problem we had with Cam's league, I got a league, he's got a league. The problem with Cam's league was, let's take Julio, for example. Let's say Julio was on IR and you needed to activate him, but you couldn't pick up another guy, and it just, the waiver wire is horrible. Like and subscribe to the channel. And here's another thing. I want some more comments. Subscribe to the channel, but I want more comments if you like the waiver wire system in your league, whether it's NFL.com, ESPN, or Yahoo. Those are the three big leagues, FanDuel, whatever it is. Do you like the waiver wire system? Because we've had many debates about this, and this league has blown up.
Preston hates the waiver wire.
It's horrible. The way it's not just Cam's league. Most leagues, ESPN, Yahoo, etc., have a standard waiver wire. And the standard waiver wire, for those who play fantasy football, they know what I'm talking about. They know that you can't really pick up anybody until Tuesday morning in a normal traditional year. I don't want to get into the COVID, Wednesday, Thursday, and all those games. You can't pick up anybody until Tuesday morning. I hate that with the passion of 1,000 suns. What I've always done, which is what I love, which was what everybody loves, is it's freewheeling, okay? You can pick up and drop whoever you want to. There's guys that have 50, 60, 70, and 80 pickups in our league because you're not penalized. Most of the leagues, you got 15, 20 pickups. You'll pick up one or two guys a week in most leagues. That's it. I love the fact of freewheeling, and everyone loves it as well. Cam, any thoughts on that before we wrap this bad boy up?
No, it's true. People love freedom.
People love freedom. They don't love government overreach like the I've had. So yeah, so like and subscribe to the channel. Put the comments below. Fantasy football. It's a fantasy playoff. So the other thing I'll say before we wrap this up, I love having, whether you have 10 teams or 12 teams, I love having the top two seeds getting a first round bye, okay? Because I remember in the early days, 10, 11, 12 years ago, I would have a number one seed, and I can't tell you how many times not having a bye week in that first week, some no-name running back or rover would have the 25, 28-point game of his life, or in a situation, let's just say a situation like the Bengals. I know T. Higgins is banged up, but let's say for the sake of argument that T. Higgins was healthy and he's playing for Cincinnati and they're going against a Pittsburgh. So they're going to be an all pass, and T. Higgins has 185 yards and 3 TDs and gets you 35 fantasy points as your rover and has the game of his life. And he takes you to the Super Bowl because they're in all risk it for the biscuit, all 4-down mode, and they lose 35-30, right?
Correct. Absolutely. No, 100%.
100%. But no more than 200%. Like and subscribe. We appreciate the love. Thanks again.